Hey you wanna see something cool? These carnivorous moths are scattered all across the world of Vana'diel, possibly to do with the further expansion story. I can't do anything with them right now, but you better believe I shit myself when I ran up to one and didn't even notice it hovering above me. We couldn't tell at first whether it was an enemy or a summon, cause the summons in this game are pretty crazy, but I don't have any decent footage of them at the moment, so you'll just have to wait. Before we return to our journey in Vana'diel, please consider dropping a like and subscribing to the channel for more player experiences like these. It helps out dramatically, and your feedback is always welcome. We last left off in Juno with the intention to acquire our chocobo, but we have to farm enemy drops in a separate location to unlock that mount system, so we left Juno for now. As part of the Sandoria Nation mission, you're asked to meet with Halvar in the Chataeu and hear what he has to say. Halvar bids us to travel to the other three nations and meet with the consulates of Sandoria, Bastok and Windurst, as reports say the beastmen are on the rise from all over. Teleporting back to Selbina, a chocobo drifted to the entrance and we started our journey to Bastok, leveling as much as we could along the way. This is essentially the moment where all the players' starting locations, whether you began your journey in Sandoria, Bastok or Windurst, they all converge into a singular journey and narrative, which is always exciting as story pacing tends to ramp up after these stages and games. As the diverged paths condense, the development team can focus their resources and quality without having to worry about branching paths. Also, narratively speaking, these quests tend to lead into the call to adventure section of your hero's journey. This journey took us from lush forests to dry deserts. The beastmen of this new nation look remarkably similar to the Red Kojin from 14. I thought it was only orcs that were rising in power, but it seems that each nation has their own tribal troubles to deal with. We celebrated upon reaching Bastok and we got the lay of the land. I was getting separation anxiety from being unable to chocify myself in towns, so I got a chicken suit to ease the pain. Hey! Hi Sid, how you doing? You like my new suit? It's made out of 100% chocobo. Shh. God, you smell of sweat and depression. We met with the Bastok consuls Save, Ryolt and Chataeu. They implied they're on the back foot with the Khadav beastmen, losing several key positions from them. Chataeu has a little racist rant, but Save puts him back in his place. Discrimination towards beast races is far more prevalent in this world. The absence of any beastmen NPCs within the city halls can attest to this concept. That being said, many of the officials we met along the way haven't a lot of love for their fellow states, often looking down on people based on their race and nation. Save orders me to seek out Grom for my next mission, in which I'll need to acquire mithril sand. Grom explained that when I obtain the mine gravel from Palborough mines, I need to use a refiner to retrieve the ons of mithril sand. You're then handed 3 pickaxes to obtain the mine gravel. Why 3 pickaxes? I'll get to that. The easiest way to acquire the mine gravel is from the auction house, but once again our required quest item was set to an unreasonable cost by the player base. Alright, I'll play the game properly. You happy? As we left for our mission, we're introduced to Lion. I liked her immediately since her character design reminds me of Riku from Kingdom Hearts 2. I can't say that. Her character design reminds me of Riku from Kingdom Hearts 2. Fuck, why do I keep saying that? Her character design reminds me of Riku from 10-2. She drops some lore about the Khadav, that Palborough mines used to be a Khadav holy land, though the Humes claimed the mines were stolen from them. Fucking humans, man. The Ninja Turtles recently got a new leader and they're growing stronger as a tribe day by day. Katala and I start speaking to the townspeople for more information and to discern the objective's location, discovering that mine gravel is housed within a mining dungeon, but apparently not the one connected to town. The dungeon linked to town does have a gateway to our objective, but has 2 NPCs guarding the gateway saying nobody's allowed through, so we had to go across 2 large zones to reach the desired dungeon entrance. Inside Palborough mines we find winding corridors, multiple floors and a bunch of enemies roaming about, with more difficult mobs hiding on the 2nd floor. These mobs were not difficult as long as we had our trusty trusts by our side, only the party leader has ultimate control of trust aggro, so as a 2-player team, the 2nd player, me in this case, has to be close enough to the party leader as the trust companions won't defend the 2nd player if aggroed. Katala and I got to work scouring the dungeon. We didn't buy a map because we thought we'd be okay without one. Don't do this. Going into any dungeon without a map makes a small dungeon seem massive. If you're heading into a new area that you know the name of, then head to your local map vendor. Be a good chap, buy yourself a map. We spent ages in this dungeon, scouring the map looking for mithril seams, which were far and few between. The game really shows its age when you have to open a trade menu to trade the mithril vein and pickaxe. And the pickaxe breaks maybe 50% of the time, and you have to share mithril seams. If I got to a vein first, then Katala would have to find a different one. I died and re-raised a bunch of times here, due to underestimating the mobs on the upper floor. Eventually, we both wasted all of our pickaxes and were unable to get the mine gravel we needed. We decided to head back and call it a day, but I got lost along the way back. But luckily I found a boat that leads me directly back to the guarded exit next to town. Oh, thank God, a shortcut. Nope, I'm not allowed back through for some reason. We didn't call it a day, we just took a break. We cleared our heads, assessed the situation, we bought a map, bought 7 more pickaxes each and charged back in with a different outlook. Now, we'll get it. I choco rode back to the mines and we spent ages there again, wasting all of our pickaxes we bought, unable to get the mine gravel we needed. Just getting frustrated about the whole situation. This is where I had no choice but to look up a guide, eventually finding a really absurd and disheartening design choice: invisible seams. It turns out these aren't the seams we're looking for. These are. The totally invisible target that might be on the side of a wall with no visual indication whatsoever. Targeting enemies is difficult and awkward enough in this game, and it makes a whole lot of noise, so spamming target selection upon entering every single dungeon room isn't going to help much either. This was the most deflating aspect of Final Fantasy XI by a mile, as it meant that key items made for main story quests were impossible to find without a guide, making the game inaccessible to many people who would like to experience the story blind and frustrating others to the brink of quitting. We got the mine gravel, put it into the refiner, grabbed our mithril sand, celebrated, and got the out of here. 0 out of 10, IGN. On a side note, I'd love to hear other players' experiences with this quest. Did we go about the wrong way? Did we miss any obvious information guiding us to those seams? Let us know in the comments. After handing in our nation mission back at Bastok, we took a short trip down a couple zones to kill some wabbits. Waddy hares will drop items that will unlock the mount system in Juno. We just needed to get 4 of each, and once we found a good spawn rotation, it didn't take long at all. Oh, I'm sorry cute rabbits, but walking is inconvenient. Back at Juno, Brutus was looking after a chocobo that was abused by its previous owner. We tried feeding him, but he's afraid to go near us. Trying again after a while, he started warming up to us, eventually eating his food from the palm of our hands. He was making really decent progress until his former master, Diamond, came back and tried to take his chocobo back. When the terrified chocobo refused to go, Diamond leaves, shouting that we've spoiled the chocobo rotten and he'll be back for what's rightfully his. Yeah, f that guy. We tended to the chocobo further until he was fit and healthy, and we grabbed our chocobo license. As far as I know, you can raise a baby chocobo until he's fully grown and trained to be your steed. But I think that process takes months to do, so I'm not doing that, but maybe one day. Alternatively, there's a new mount system that we now have access to. Completing this quest will allow us to call forth and collect any mount available to us as we would in Final Fantasy XIV. We just had to complete a minigame where we rode this raptor across Batallia Downs, managing his stamina by slash petting him and finding food at Newgrange. Once completed, we got our raptor mounts, and not long later I found out that Greater Moogles give you points for logging in, and you can use these points to get more mounts. I had more than enough points already. With that out of the way, our next step is the nation of Windurst. It's a very long journey, and even with our new mounts, it'll take a long while to get there. So we better get going. Oh, what's this? There's a boat that travels in real time from Selbina to Mora. We just had to wait for it to enter port. Any day now. Eventually. Let's go. Just when I start to think that the wait wouldn't be worth it, that doubt gets washed away the moment I see the boat travel in from the horizon and make port. Traveling like this in games is a rare breed. A problem with Final Fantasy XIV is that teleportation is so widely available and so heavily encouraged that long journeys with other players is a very rare occurrence, and all forms of travel such as boats or airships are reduced to a simple loading screen, as longer forms of travel are made redundant by instant teleportation. Unfortunately, Final Fantasy XI is in the same boat. Modern day Final Fantasy XI has added the ability to travel between home points and use survival guides to travel between more dangerous locales. Whereas for a very long time, traveling by boat or chocobo were the only means of fast travel. Interestingly enough, if you were a white mage, you could travel between 9 locations in the game. Otherwise, you'd be huffing it very slowly across very dangerous terrain. And you're probably thinking, well, the game is big enough, surely teleporting isn't a bad thing. And you're absolutely absolutely right, but actually walking onto the ship with my companion, wandering and emoting around the hold as it prepares to leave, and watching it fly off into the distance had me totally giddy. It really reminded me of airship travel in Final Fantasy XII. I walked around the interior talking to the shopkeepers when all of a sudden, "Hi, yeah, excuse me, hi. I'll take a Phoenix down and a couple potions." I've been good today. Make them high potions. Why do I hear boss music? I ran outside to see what was going on. A couple jellyfish had made it on board and Chataeu was taking them down by himself. While you're traveling the world, your boat can be invaded by enemies, so you and your traveling comrades can protect the passengers while you reach your destination. As we engaged in battle, a storm clouded the sky, and I got intense flashbacks of Final Fantasy XIV's 1.0 opening, starting on a boat heading for Limzo while being attacked by Leviathan. Chills. As the battles waged and the storm passed, I looked out to the sky's beauty at dawn's break, listening to the calming soundtrack, watching the mountains pass by and the seas stretch on. It really is something. Well, let's ask the captain how far off we are. 13 minutes? The initial thrill of fighting on a boat, commuting in real time was something else, but the travel is certainly longer than it needs to be. You've nothing else to do but stand around, easily pick off a couple enemies while you wait, and complain to other passengers about how long the trip is taking. There's too much reality in my fantasy. I'm sure these boat rides were a lot of fun back in the day, but as it stands today, it would be nice if there were more shops and other NPCs to talk to. I would love to see this sort of thing come back in modern video games, but maybe only as something you have to do once to unlock the immediate route. We finally land and mirror a desolate land, mirroring the Wild West lay before me. I was chilled to the bone and unnerved to no end. This trek would be perilous indeed. And the map music ruined it. Yeah, you can't turn it off. We make it to Taronga Canyon and aim further south to reach East Sarataburuta. Upon reaching Windurst, land of the Taru, we reach the Sandorian consulates who inform us of a giant monster's arrival in the depths of Giddeus, and the government of Windurst wants rid of it. Our mission is to retrieve a key from Heaven's Tower, reach Giddeus and slay the beast. A cutscene plays upon reaching Windurst walls.
Hello, neighborino to the north. I sure like the cut of your gibberish.
Cohen doodly
Diddly oodly, diddly oodly,
doodly,
oodly,
noodly doodly, diddly doodly,
diddly
doodly,
oodly, oodly.
noodle.
Shantotto is brewing up some chaos, as expected, and gets sucked into a portal. Kinda deserved, not gonna lie. A creepy cutscene played immediately after of a dark-robed Shantotto speaking to her black mage subjects in a deep dungeon, claiming all of Vana'diel shall burn under the fires of the Shantotto Empire. Her subjects chant her name, Domina Shantotto, Domina Shantotto, while the title A Shantotto Ascension appears on screen. Expansion cutscenes always seem to introduce themselves upon entering a desired location, rather than triggering by talking to an NPC, though there are still several groups of NPC characters hanging about waiting for me to level up or something. Have you reached level 75 yet? You just want me for my gear! I do love how they're sprinkling all these cutscenes from later patches, as it really fills out the journey of the base game's nation story, though it can be a bit jarring in terms of introducing characters and establishing a timeline. Although the characters you meet will talk about the bond we share after all the journeys we've been on together, and then introduce themselves in the following cutscene. This is most noticeable when acquiring trusts. Ooh. This is Heaven's Tower, my new favourite place. The music is haunting, and the location is giving me strong Ico vibes. We retrieved the key from Kupupi and left for Giddeus. Along the way, we received the Mogmail hologram thingy from Domina Shantotto, saying that I've been selected as a special unit operative for the Shantotto Empire, and I'm to report to Quiffam Island Frozen Pond immediately. I should see what this is about, but she doesn't pay my sub, so she can wait. On a side note, these are some of my favourite Muggles in the franchise, since they are closest to the FF9 and Kingdom Hearts designs, plus their culture and personalities are very similar to the Loperates, and above all, they aren't voice acted. We arrived at our destination and RP walked our way into the the Giddeus boss arena. Similar to the orc fight in Devoy, these engagements are kind of a blend between duties and trials. In this encounter, we find the Searcher, a leader of the beast tribe, who declares they tricked us by spreading a rumour about some fictitious ferocious monster. Then proceeds to summon a ferocious monster. Sure. Senmai, who is along for the ride, becomes disorientated at the sight of the dragon. She regains her composure and hearkens us to continue ahead as reinforcements arrive. I've had enough of this rabble. Come on! After beating the boss, I return to my Mog house to relax, but my Mughal friend says there's a leak and needs help fixing it. So I left him to drown and asked Prince Trion for a new apartment. He was impressed by all my heroic feats so far, but revealed that the Shadow Lord's return is nigh and he needs somebody to receive a scout's report back from Devoy. Also saying that I'll never be able to afford a decent apartment in this day and age. Again, too much reality in my fantasy game. Upon returning from the Orc stronghold with the report, I'll be expected to be on the front lines. Because of this, I thought it would be appropriate to be fully ready. To do that, I think it's time I unlocked the Ninja job class. I was pleasantly surprised by Thief's access to Sneak Attack and Trick Attack early on. Closer to level 30 unlocks Flee, letting you run faster than a mount for about 20 seconds. This is the best skill, oh my god. But now that it's time to switch to a more advanced class, losing those thief abilities will be a hard blow. Thankfully, Final Fantasy XI allows for you to retain a subclass, which will always be no more than half of your main job's max level, as well as giving you access to that subclass's abilities and perks. So, although I lose all of my thief skills now, by assigning thief as my subclass, I'll get all of my skills back by the time my main job's class is level 50-60. As for picking my main job, Ninja has always been my best job in Final Fantasy XIV, and I always lean towards classes with high mobility and high maneuverability, so picking it for Revenix was a no-brainer. Red Mage and Samurai also being very close options. Red Mage is a personal champion of mine, as it is my favourite class in Final Fantasy I, allowing you to have access to nearly every type of magic along with decent melee versatility. Samurai is a tank class in Final Fantasy XI, in both gameplay and aesthetics, taking more of an armoured Kabuto design rather than my preferred cloth attire and DPS roles. In the far future, I'd want to unlock Geomancer, as the chances of that becoming an official job in Final Fantasy XIV are dwindling as the years go by. So to unlock Ninja, my next destination is Norg, and if you're an old school player thinking, oh he's in for it now, nope. There's a boat in Selbina that's been waiting to take me to Norg since ages ago. Remember that bee pollen quest from the first video? Yup, since then. Anyone who doesn't know what I'm talking about, Norg is a place on the other side of the world with a heavy grind barring your way. Something about an airship pass? But who cares, I'm already there. Oh? Oh? Oh.